I'll name drop here. I was on Colin Coward's show yesterday, and he asked me, is this good or bad for college basketball that we have, a field that has one kind of big boy in UConn. They are big boy. They've won 4 national titles in the last 30 years. So they're as close to a blue blood as there is. And then you got, Miami, San Diego State, and FAU. How do you look at this? Because I look at it as like, for me personally, it's going to be kind of fun and cool and everything like that. Now, for the city of Houston.
Yeah, they needed Texas to win.
Yeah. That would have been huge for the city, for the atmosphere here. Tickets have already fallen on the secondary market at like 40% since
I believe it.
Teams. So where are you at?
Well, I'm kind of the same way. I think it's cool that it's not the same old of Kansas, North Carolina like last year. But then I was also excited because it was the heavyweights last year, right? So I'd go both ways. I think there's arguments to be made when you have the blue bloods. It's like, wow, the fans, it'll be crazy. It will be packed.
Yeah.
The level of play, not that the level of play won't be high with these teams, but you have pros on the floor. But then I also like to see other teams get a chance, and the parity is what makes this tournament awesome. But I do think that with Houston losing and with Texas losing in Kansas City, that certainly hurts the number of people. We have universities here that aren't very big. They don't have a huge alumni base. And, like Kansas has proven that when they make the Final Four, they travel. I don't know what Miami's going to do. They had a decent crowd in Kansas City. It certainly wasn't the biggest crowd I saw in that stadium.
Maybe John Ruiz. Hey, maybe John Ruiz will pay for that Miami contingent to fly out here.
Yeah, it's amazing that with all that was talked about with that, at the end of the day, they are still playing.
Yes.
You
know why?
It's
because they're
they
talented.
have good players.
They're older, and they're talented.
They are talented. They're not deep necessarily. They only play like 7 dudes, 8 dudes max. Really 8. They play 8. But boy, their guards. Their 4 starting guards are awesome.
They can go, can't they?
Nigel Pack has played really well in the tournament. Isaiah Wong is a stud.
Yeah,
he is a stud, and he was a stud last year. But he's come back. He's worked on his game. Wugga Poplar has become a player.
Yes,
he is really good. Last year, he kind of came off the bench for him and played behind like McGusty and all those guys. But he's had a really nice tournament. And then Jordan Miller's awesome. And I feel like outside the ACC, he probably hasn't gotten the recognition that he deserves. I think that ACC fans understand how good Jordan Miller is. I don't think nationally they have any idea, fans of college basketball. And like the general fan who follows on the service level definitely doesn't. And then Omier is just a rebounding machine. That dude.
Isn't he?
He looks, you know what he looks like? You know what he reminds me of? Kyle Hines. Now Kyle Hines.
Yeah.
Played overseas forever. Yeah. Same body type, similar skill set. They move pretty similar. Omier might, because he kind of plays 5 out, he might get some looks to play here, but he could make a lot of money overseas. Now if he gets in foul trouble, Anthony Walker behind him.
Right.
Boy, he played well in the first game in Kansas City. He did not play well in the second game. But they need Omier, especially with Klingon and Sanogo. Omier cannot get in foul trouble. Otherwise, it's going to be a rough deal for Miami.
Hey, did you, being in Kansas City, the thing that sticks out to me about Miami and how they play, and I said it to Larinaga after I saw him in Albany for 2 games, and I said it to him afterwards. I said, man, like, I'm so impressed with how you connect with these kids as a 70-plus-year-old head coach.
They love playing for him. They love playing for him.
He's so loose, Rob. He's so loose. Like, I'm watching timeouts, and he's literally, like, joking around. He'd pull a player aside, whoever it was, and, they're long media timeouts. So, you can tell your team what they need in a minute or two, and then you've got time left. He's sitting there with his arm around – I think it was at that point, Jordan, and laughing, joking. Jordan's laughing, joking with him. And you see him with, Nigel Pack, same thing. It's just, he keeps him loose. He keeps him really, really loose.
I think he also does a phenomenal job of managing. I don't want to say egos because that makes it sound like the kids have egos, but managing touches and getting everybody to understand, like, all right, you know, it doesn't have to be your turn every time, because you do have 4 guards that really want to score, and they do other things too, but a lot of teams would not handle that well. Like, you can tell.
How about the
Not
NIL,
like,
Rob? Rob, how
well,
about
that
the
too.
NIL
No.
component?
Absolutely. The NIL component is a great example of that too, of getting the whole Isaiah Wong situation last year where he was upset because they got the Elite Eight. And then, you know, Nigel Pack comes in and he's making more money than Isaiah Wong. And they've navigated that well. But I think that this could be a team, if not coached properly, that there wouldn't be enough balls to go around. But I do think that when you watch them, it's not like every time Pack or Wong or Poplar or Miller comes off a ball screen or gets it to their side, they think, oh, I can't pass it because it won't come back to me. Like, they really play together.
Yes.
You can tell they enjoy playing together. I love watching their team play. They just compete. They're resilient.
And they're
fun. The Indiana game is a great example. Like, they're up. IU comes storming back and they get totally punched in the mouth, and then they deliver a haymaker, and they just knock Indiana out. They're really tough. They don't go away.
Can they beat UConn? I just saw UConn play again. I've seen them all 4 games here in the tournament.
I mean, they're rolling. They're rolling. They're going to have to probably play as well as they've played in the tournament, and they are playing great. I mean, the shot making in that Texas game for a lot of it was high level stuff. It really was. It was fun to watch.
They can win. What's the key?
They can, yeah.
What's the key?
Boy, I just think for Miami, it's probably hold your own on the inside with Sanogo and Klingon. Omer cannot get in foul trouble and then just live in the paint.
Yeah,
live in the paint.
And they got to make threes.
They have to make the open shots. But I think that those looks start with their guards driving it and getting paint touches and scoring at the rim. And then all of a sudden the help starts committing, and now you're spraying it to your shooter.
And they got to make sure Hawkins doesn't get going for UConn. He's the guy they can't let go. Like, if Hawkins can have an off game, you know, a 2 for 13 type game, and you're giving Sanogo who's 25, and maybe those other shooters aren't making them, the Carabans, the Calcaterras, the Newtons. I mean, it's going to take a lot. It's going to take Miami playing their A game, and UConn.
But they're capable of doing that. Yes. They are. I'm not saying they're going to win, because I think UConn is a monster. I really do. I mean, they have the look of a national champion, but Miami can beat them. If they play their best, they can beat Connecticut.
Hey, as shown by FAU being here, anything can happen. Anything could happen. And San Diego State being here. Again, getting back to my view of this 4-team field, I don't care as much about like the atmosphere, all that. I care that the casual fan tunes in. I do. I think it's important for the game of
for the health of the game.
Yeah. And that's what worries me a little bit. And it worries me. It was going to worry me anyway, because once you lose Coach K, once you lost Roy Williams, you lost Jay Wright, that's ultimately what a lot of these fans are tuning in for, right? It is last year.
To watch the coaches?
Well,
or what do you
mean? Last year there was kind of a pretty big storyline, Rob.
Well, okay, yeah, I got you.
You know what I mean? So, like, you need storylines. You have FAU. I don't know how many people really care maybe. I mean, again,
I think that people, and this is not disrespectful to FAU, I think people really connected with that Kansas State team. You know, the videos of the locker room before, and like Hang would have been a story. Oh, he's this Baylor assistant and
Keontae Johnson. Keontae Johnson is a story. Marquise Noah is a story. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And Dusty May's a good story. I mean, he's a manager in Indiana. He's under Bobby Knight, and he's worked his way up to now be the head coach of Florida Atlantic. That's a good story.
Yeah.
But I do feel like nationally, Kansas State's story resonated more with casual viewers of the game.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you. And again, like you said, if you have a Texas instead of a Miami and an Alabama, you could have one. You could have one. And we don't have a villain per se.